Hello and welcome to a Yin Yoga class where we give a lot of love to our hips, our inner thighs, and our low back. I'm Morgan. I'm an educator turned yoga instructor, here to explain all things yoga and fitness in a way that makes sense to you. In Yin Yoga, we use passive static stretches to really get into the deep tissues of the body. Recent research has actually shown that static stretching is one of the best ways to increase range of motion over time. I'll add a link to that research in the description below. I'll also link a blog post where I kind of break it down in normal people speak. Long story short, a static stretch for 1 minute spread out across a week 5 times per area of the body is going to really improve the range of motion. Isn't that cool and exciting? All right, so for class, I do recommend props because it's Yin Yoga. So back here I have 2 bolsters and I have 2 blocks. If you don't have official yoga props at your house, don't worry about it. You can find pillows, you can find things as large as couch cushions or small stools, big books, things like that. Just be creative and find what feels good. We will get started lying on our backs. And so go ahead and come down when you're ready. You're gonna shift the hips over to the right side of the mat, but let the feet kind of stay on the left side of the mat. And the head, the shoulders, the head sort of go also to the left side of the mat. So we're trying to make your body look like a crescent moon. And then you have the option to take your right foot, lift it up and cross it over the left foot. And you might choose to stay right here. But you might choose to take the hands up above the head. And if that's happening, you're gonna also take the hands to the left side of the mat to really keep this crescent moon going. And the right palm might rest in the left palm. And we'll relax here for about 1 minute. I'm using my watch timer, so you'll see me glance at my wrist from time to time. And so we're feeling a stretch potentially in the right side body. And so imagining the tissues from the right ankle up along the outside of the right leg, all the way to the right hip, up the right side of the torso, along the rib cage, all the way to the right armpit, along the outside of the right arm, up to the right wrist, all the way to the right pinky. And as you inhale, just imagine a lot of space along the right side body. And as you exhale, see if you can find some softness. Beautiful. Then from here, we're gonna slowly take the legs back to center and shift the hips over to the left side of the mat. Then take the feet all the way over to the right side of the mat. And if your arms are above the head, you can rest the left palm on top of the right palm, and you can take the left ankle over the right ankle. So we're making this crescent moon on the other side. And we will spend another minute here, relaxing into this. And so this time, really bringing our attention to the left side body. So in your mind's eye, visualizing from the left ankle up the side of that left leg, up to the left hip, the space around the rib cage on the left side, all the way to the left armpit, the shoulder area, maybe softening throughout the stretch here. Keep going, traveling up the left arm, all the way to that left pinky. And then as you inhale, just visualizing spaciousness within the left side body. And as you exhale, softening as much as possible. A few more breaths here. Soft, slow. Beautiful. And then we'll take the arms back down by the sides of the body and slowly bend the knees, put the feet on the floor. And then roll onto the right side of the body for a moment. So it's like a little ball here. Take your left hand, press into the floor, and start to come up. So we're going to come up to a seat. And for the next pose, it's our butterfly series, having props nearby will be really helpful. Even if you're a somewhat bendy person, you might find that you'll need them. So I'm moving them out in front of me so I can find them. This dog toy is not a prop over here. All right, so from here, we are going to extend the left leg out to the side of the mat, and the right leg is in towards the center. So this is half butterfly. And your left leg can be kind of towards the front or out towards the side to your degree. So you're going to feel what angle feels best. And then we'll start to fold forward, but get props to support you. So we want to bring the ground close to us. And so how much elevation do you need in order to just completely melt the muscles of the body down? So that's the goal, is complete relaxation. And if you can't reach your bolster, one way that helps down-regulate the nervous system is to ground the forehead down. So maybe even bringing a block or a book to the top of the bolster so that your forehead is grounded if you can't otherwise reach. And then we'll stay in this half butterfly for 1 minute. All right, so while you're here, you're noticing sensations in the body. And we don't have to change the body at all, we just notice. So one of our practices as yogis is to watch as a neutral witness. So notice sensations in the inner thigh on the left side. Notice sensations in the low back. Notice sensations in the outer hip on the right side. Maybe the low back on the right side has some sensations. And then while you're here, can you inhale, and then as you exhale, release even more gently down into the earth. So find a new muscle to let go of. Beautiful. And then very slowly we'll inhale and come up to center. And then folding our left leg gently in for a full butterfly. So the soles of the feet come together. The knees are open here, but if you're feeling like discomfort in the inner thighs or any part of the knees, one thing that might be nice is to take 2 blocks underneath the legs here to support so that the stretch doesn't go farther than you wish it to. And then bolster can go down this way for you to fold, or if that's too much, you can always prop up a bolster this way and just give it a little bit of a hug, kind of like this. So be creative with your props. Find what feels good for you in this moment. And we'll spend about a minute in our full butterfly. So folding forward gently. You might inhale, think let, exhale, go.
find a new muscle group to relax. And then as witness, neutral observer of your own body, what do you feel? Notice the inner thighs. Notice the outer hips. Notice sensations in the knees. Notice sensations in the low back. And then can you send your breath to the places where you feel the most? Inhale, let, exhale, go. Inhale, let, exhale, go. And then gently pressing yourself up to a seat. Good. From here, extending the right leg out to the side for half butterfly. So the right leg goes long, the left leg is bent in, and we fold forward here, again for about a minute. Just balancing out the two sides. Melting the chest down. Noticing sensations in the body. So what do you feel in the right inner thigh? What do you feel in the left outer hip? What do you feel in the low back? And there's never a right or wrong answer here to how you feel, because you are entitled to your unique experience, right? No one gets to tell you how to feel here or really anywhere in your life, right? So we just try to honor our experience, notice our experience, and just find a sort of contentment in it. Just this ability to sit in our experience without trying to change it, make it different, right? All right, so from here, gently pressing up. And then finally, to finish out this part of the sequence, we extend the left leg out long. So now we're in this kind of straddle. In Yin Yoga, it is called Dragonfly. So for those of us who are on the tighter side, I don't like, stiffer is really the word we would use in sports medicine. So the tissues are stiffer. Oftentimes that's because you are a strong athlete, right? So if you're a stiff person, just know we love that for you, okay? So you might bend the knees and you might take the hands behind the hips and just sit up tall and open the chest here. We're trying not to round the low back, okay? So just know that this is completely appropriate, right? If that's where you are, you're perfect. Some of us might be able to straighten out the knees and still sit tall and sit forward of the sitting bones, all right? And then if that's where you are, you might start to come forward onto 1 to 3 bolsters, maybe a stack of blocks. I'm going to lie down onto this single bolster. Some of us will take our chests all the way to the floor. Congratulations. Something that I've realized in my experience in yoga is that the amount of depth you get in a stretch doesn't indicate your amount of enlightenment, right? So we're all perfect right where we are. So just melting down to whatever degree you are. We'll stay for about 1 minute in Dragonfly. So noticing sensations once again in the body. So what do you feel in the inner thighs? What do you feel in the hamstrings? So behind the leg, between the hip and the knee. And do you have any strange sensations in your knees? Knowing that sharpshooting pain is never something we're looking for here. So if that's the case, we come out of it. Maybe sensations in the low back. And then from here, what is your core doing? Especially, so if you're leaning forward, resting on a bolster, do you feel as though you're holding yourself up with your core or with your arms? And can you let go? Allow gravity to take you down. Release a little bit more completely. Inhale, let. Exhale, go. And if you're sitting up, because you're one of my stiff superstars, can you stay with this stretch? Sit in the discomfort, right? We breathe through it. So in Yin Yoga, we find our edge and we sit right at this edge. Nice. And then slowly pressing into the hands, gently bringing yourself up. All right. From here, bend the knees, put the feet flat on the floor. Then windshield wiper the knees from one side to the other, kind of resetting the hips here, getting a little blood flow. So we're moving on to a Swan series. This has very deep hip openers. And we're going to just be gentle, avoiding any torque in the knee joint here. So pay attention to sensations in your body and honor your body as we're here. So you're going to face the short side of your mat. You'll want your props available to you just in case. We'll start by taking the right foot forward. The right knee comes behind the right wrist. The right heel is going to be close to the left hip crease. Now, some of us will be able to get the right glute all the way onto the floor without any trouble. For some of us, that's way too intense. If your right glute is lifted, you will take a rolled up blanket or a bolster or a block and put it underneath there to support you. So finding what works for you and then walking the hands down. Maybe you come to the forearms. Maybe you place a bolster underneath your chest. And maybe you melt the chest completely down. Wherever you are, you're perfect, right? Don't forget that. And we stay for about a minute. Sleeping swan with the right foot in front. Noticing sensations in the body here. A big stretch for the outer hip on the right side. Inhale, let. Exhale, go. Sending the breath to the parts of the body where the muscles are still online. We try to just relax the muscles completely. What muscles can release? And as the muscles release the stretch, we just put a little bit more load onto the fascia. And it is safe. Okay, we're not going for overstretching. So the definition of stretching that I like to use, it comes from yoga medicine. You can look them up. They are a great organization, a great science-based yoga program, and they define stretching as taking the body out of the normal range of motion, so like your day-to-day, so farther than your normal range of motion, but not past your physiological range of motion, right? So overstretching is taking your joints into a place that's harmful for them. That's past your physiological range of motion. That's not what we're going for. We don't want to hurt you. Yeah. So anyways, just a little tidbit to consider. We're going to slowly come up, take the hands underneath the shoulders, inhale, rise. Now from here, a little choreography. Lean into the right hip. You're going to remove a prop if you have a prop. And then you're going to take the left leg up in front of you. And then we're going to cross the left ankle over the right knee for Firelog. You can stay facing the way that you're facing. I'm going to turn to face the camera. Now, some of us will have a knee up in the air. You are welcome to support it with a bolster, pillow, whatever. Both feet are flexed. The left ankle is really on top of the right knee. So don't let it slide down this way. You really want to cross it over. Very deep external rotation in the hips. You might find that staying upright is necessary because of the depth of the stretch, or you might start to come forward here. I use my forearms, and then I take a block in the skyscraper position for my forehead. But all of us are different, so I encourage you to find the prop solution that feels best for you. And then we'll stay for 1 minute. This might be intense. Okay, so actually I encourage you to find that edge, that point of intensity where you feel a lot. If you're not feeling a lot here, just notice, are your shins parallel to the edge of your mat? Or is your left ankle really on top of your right knee? And if all of that's the case, it's just possible you're very flexible in your hips, and that's okay too, right? Get your chest to your thighs, lean forward, take the forehead all the way to the floor if that's you. Some of us are experiencing a lot even if we're not folded forward. Remember, if you're one of my stiff superstars, stiff tissues usually allow you to run faster because stiff tissues spring back faster when load is released. So your body is incredible. There's nothing we need to change. We're here to hydrate the tissues, to increase range of motion or maintain range of motion so that we can move freely, right? So we're taking care of the body, but we're not going for, circus bendy, anything fancy. We are all good enough, right? Right where we are. All right, so coming up here from Firelog, the adventure continues. I'm so excited. So we're gonna just take the left foot, left knee, and keep it going over the right knee, and we're gonna take the right foot and sneak it back closer to the right hip, and the left foot sneaks back closer to the right hip. So this is called shoelace. Some of us are like, cool, no problem. Some of us are having our brains explode right now because this is unbelievable. And so wherever you are, we breathe. So try to get to that edge. Maybe you're gonna fold forward, right? Creep those hands forward. Feel those hips, breathe, relax. We stay for about a minute. Inhale, let, exhale, go. Inhale, let, exhale, go. So do you feel your hips? And what are those muscles doing? And can you ask them to relax? Imagine that all the muscles in the glutes, the hip flexors, all of those big attachments, the muscles of the back that attach in the hips, can you relax them so much it's almost like they're melting off of the bones? Good. One more inhale. Stay for the exhale. All right, so we'll transition into sleeping swan on the left side. So kind of get yourself up. This is a little magic trick. My left knee is on top, it's in front. We're gonna send the right foot back, okay? So the right foot is going back here. My left knee is behind my left wrist. My left heel is gonna be close to my right hip, okay? And then again, if your glute is lifted, put a bolster underneath it so that it is supported. And then we'll start to melt our chests down towards the mat if that's available. Maybe coming to the forearms, maybe coming to a bolster here. Relaxing in sleeping swan on the left for about 1 minute. Noticing sensations in the outer edge of the left hip this time. Maybe noticing sensations in the front of the right leg where it attaches to the torso. That's the hip flexor. Then inhale, let. Exhale, go. Can you soften and release more deeply into the mat? Inhale, let. Exhale, go. Breathing into the places where you feel the most sensation. Sending that energy, that intention of letting go. Then slowly bending the elbows, taking the wrists under the shoulders, press into the palm of the hands. Lean onto the left hip and start to bring the right leg around. We'll stack left ankle on top of right knee, and I'll turn so that it's easier to see me. So Firelog, this time with the right leg on top. So if the knee floats in the air and you can't get it down to rest, you'll put something to support the knee. So a block or a bolster, a rolled up blanket. Maybe the knee comes all the way down because of the external rotation from the hips. The feet are flexed. The ankles are not like twisty and kinky. They're all in a nice line here, right? And the ankles are truly on top of the knee, so we're not letting the foot come away here. And then maybe sitting up is what is working for you today, or maybe leaning forward is going to be all right. Maybe some kind of support for the head. Maybe the chest goes all the way down to the floor. It just depends, right? We're all so different, and that's one of the things that is beautiful. And then from here, just taking a minute to let go. Noticing sensations in the right outer hip in particular is stretching right now, but you might feel other things as well. And can you release the muscles in the hips? Allow them to just melt right off of the bones. And what about the low back? Are there muscles in the low back that you can control with your brain? Can you release them? And what about muscles in the stomach? I notice that my core sometimes engages in poses like this out of this protectiveness, like, oh no, I don't want to go too deep, right? We just remind ourselves that we're finding our edge and we can really lean into it. So can you relax those core muscles? One more inhale here. And we stay for the exhale. Rising up on your next inhale. And then moving the knees on top of one another. So the right knee comes on top of the left knee. The left ankle is outside of the right hip. The right ankle is outside of the left hip. It's kind of like Simon Says, but more complicated. Good, so shoelace. Yeah, and then from here you might stay, or you might fold forward. Depends on so many things, right? And so we just watch the body, we notice where we are in this moment, and we practice neutrality, non-judgment towards our own body. Harder said than done, don't you think? So inhale, let. Exhale, go. And we might apply that to the muscles, but you can also apply that to the mind, right? What can we let go of here? What preconceived notions? What things we think we should be? Inhale, let. Exhale, go. Good stuff. All right, so gently coming out of this. And this time we get to take the legs apart, lean back, feet flat on the floor, and windshield wiper the legs, reset the hips. All right, so we got the inner thighs in the butterfly. That was the target most specifically. And then in our Sleeping Swan series, the target was the outer hips. And in both of these cases, the low back was stretching with the forward fold. Okay, we're gonna go the other way now. So for saddle pose, we'll stretch the front of the legs, and we will stretch the low back, but we're stretching it the other way. We're compressing the muscles, contracting them, instead of expanding them. So we're going in a new direction. So you'll take a bolster behind you, and then it might be nice to sit on a block here. It kind of depends. So the block, I put it in the lowest place that it goes. And then I'm going to have my left knee bent and extend my right leg out for half saddle. And so start on the block, see how that feels. The left heel is close to the left glute, but it's not underneath it. I'll show you on the right side. So the heel is just right outside. So we're not tucking it all the way under. It's a little bit to the outside, but then I draw the knees together if that's possible. So see how you feel on the block. And if you're like, I might have more space for a stretch, you could remove the block and sit down. Notice sensations in the knee. Does the knee feel okay? If the answer is yes, then rock on, stay where you are. If not, elevate the hips. All right, so from here you might stay seated. You might start to relax back onto your bolster. Half saddle. Finding a position with the arms that's comfortable, maybe palms face up, opening the chest. Could cactus the arms for even more of a chest opener. And if none of those are feeling good and right in this moment, maybe taking one hand to the chest, one hand to the belly. And then from here, spending a minute stretching out the front of the left leg, noticing the small curve in the low back. If there's too much pressure in the low back, if it's not feeling good here, maybe taking more elevation with your bolster. So can you add another support underneath you so you're not leaning back so far? So that's one of the tricks with Yin Yoga, is that we have to get really creative with the props because all of us are different. Our bodies are different. And not only are they different proportionally in the way they look from the outside, but they're also different from the inside, right? The elasticity of the tissues is different from person to person, and even just your experience, like your neurological translation of comfort and pain is different, right? Your tolerance. And so we just have to be so creative, and what's working for me up here in the video might not be working for you. And so just know that there's not like a right or wrong way to be doing this. The right way is the way that feels good. So find that, be creative. All right, so gently pressing yourself up, we just kind of take the elbows underneath us, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Take the hands down, come on up. Extend the left leg out, then maybe circle the ankles, point and flex the feet, reset. Bend the right leg back. Take the right heel just to the outside of the right hip. The knees are together if possible. Don't worry if they're apart, you're still fine. And then lie back on the bolster if that's available to you. Noticing sensations in the body here, finding your balance. And then taking the hands to the position that feels good and right. So cactusing the arms, or one hand to the heart, one hand to the belly. You could have opposite hands, opposite elbows, and open up the arms above the head. Feel a little bend in the low back, little compression in the low spine, not too much. And settle in for about a minute. Feeling that glorious stretch in the front of the right quad. I'm using the word glorious to convince myself. I've been doing lots of running and weight training lately. So I'm feeling the tissues of my body on the stiffer side because of the things that I've been asking them to do. Which means I get a lot of fun sensation while I'm here. Glorious stretching. And again, stretching, we're past our normal range of motion. We wouldn't come into this position in our daily lives by sitting at our desks or driving the car, right? Even riding our bike to work if that's what you do. But we're not past our physiological range of motion. This is still safe for us. We aren't taking our joints past a point that will start to harm them, right? So we always want to be noticing sensations in the body so that if we're experiencing sharp shooting pain, that we're coming out of that, because that's not good. The other thing that we don't want to experience is numbness or tingling. That tends to mean that we're pressing on a nerve in a way that could be damaging. So noticing, those are the two red flags: sharp shooting and numbness, tingling. But that burning sensation of a stretch, as long as it's not too intense, that's all right. One more inhale. Stay for the exhale. Beautiful. And then gently pressing yourself up. We have one final pose. So Caterpillar, which is really just a forward fold. For me, I like to really bend my knees so that my rib cage and my thighs can touch one another. And I'm going to take a prop underneath my knees to do so. So this is one option. So you could try that. Another option that can feel really nice is to take the prop on top and to rest on the prop. Now you see how I can't reach? I would want to take a double prop here. Something like this, right? Now, if you can't sit forward here, plenty of us are stiff enough in our tissues that this is not accessible. And instead you'll be seeing something like this. That is an indication that you need to sit up on a bolster or a folded up towel or something. You sit up and then you lean forward, lean forward, lean forward so that you're sort of almost falling off. You want to be on the front of your sitting bones. And then from there, the knees can stay bent as needed, right? Take the chest to the thighs, even if you just look like this. This is a beautiful forward fold right here. In fact, let's do it like this. I'm going to demo like this. If you'd like to straighten out your legs all the way, go for it. Let's see if we can take our chest to our thighs, no matter where we are. And spend a minute here. So the forward fold can really downregulate the nervous system. But it can also, for those stiff superstars who do a lot of athletics, it can be so intense that it's a little bit hard to breathe through. So just know that whatever your experience is here, it's valid, right? It's your experience. And let's just see if we can keep the chin tucked into the chest, allow the head to hang heavy. How much can you release here? How much can you relax? How much can you breathe? Can you release the tongue from the roof of the mouth? Soften the jaw, soften the eyelids and the forehead. Soften the feet, the toes, the ankles, the tops of the feet, the calf muscles. Soften behind the knees, the hamstrings, up into the hips. As you soften the low back, maybe you come forward more, rib cage to thighs, forehead to shins. Inhale, let. Exhale, go. Inhale, let. Exhale, go. And then slowly coming up, finishing in Shavasana with supported knees. So taking a bolster under your knees and then lying onto your back. And then while you're here, kind of lift up your chest and shimmy your shoulders underneath you. The shoulder blades come together and then relax down so the chest is open. Palms face up by the sides of the body. And if that doesn't feel good for you right now, maybe the left hand goes to the chest, the right hand goes to the belly. And from here, we'll just take a moment to do a breath awareness meditation. I learned this from Thich Nhat Hanh, reading his work. So you simply watch the breath. So you notice your inhale And you notice your exhale. And as you inhale, in your mind, simply say to yourself, inhale, I breathe in. And as you exhale, say to yourself, exhale, I breathe out. So you mark the event, and you don't change the quality of the breath, you don't change the tempo of the breath, you simply inhale, I am breathing in, exhale, I am breathing out, whenever that happens. Okay, so we're gonna spend 1 minute doing this. If you lose the breath, if your mind wanders, as soon as you catch it doing that, just come back to it, right? No big deal. All right, so starting now, inhale, I am breathing in, exhale, I am breathing out. Then from here, letting that go, you might choose to continue to rest in Shavasana for as long as you wish, just allowing the body to sink down into the earth, allowing the muscles to relax off of the bones, allowing yourself some space and time to integrate the physical, mental, emotional effects of the yoga practice. There's just some time to process, right? And if you need to move on with your day, if it's time, simply beginning to deepen the breath and bringing small movements back into the body. Drawing the knees in towards the chest slowly. Don't let me rush you. And then coming onto the right side of your body. Pressing yourself up and coming to a seat.
The light in me sees and honors the light in each and every one of you. Shanti, 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 peace, peace, peace. Thank you for spending this time with me. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to be notified when I post new yoga classes. I regularly post Vinyasa and Yin yoga classes. I also regularly post asana tutorials and other yoga tips and tricks. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you have an amazing day or night, and I will see you soon.